This was the very first in and out drive we had designed and built. It was many years ago. We made this project hard work for ourselves, learning a lot. It took 2 men 10 days to complete. Day 1, breaking up the existing concrete, then removing 12 inches, 300 millimeters, of sub-base. Then replace the now crushed concrete and consolidate carefully. We used a heavy tandem roller to achieve this. This was time-consuming, heavy work. Our next project would be planned differently. The sequence, setting out, will always be needed. Demolition and excavation will always be needed. Sub-base preparation. Using a B1 or Type 1 limestone saves a day's labor. Laying edge bricks. Using an edge restraint saves another day's labor. Laying main surface. Dry laying bricks or blocks saves about 2 days' labor. Pointing bricks, eliminating by brushing in kiln-dried sand, saves about 2 days' labor. Prep and planting usually takes the same time. Once the sub-base had been consolidated, we could start on the edging. We made yet another costly time error, using a mortared edge. Although we kept this method in our options list. After completing the edging, we laid all the bricks, then regraded the topsoil, preparing for the planting. We did get the overall levels correct. The finished project, with the addition of some good-looking planting, turned out great. The subtle rising brick edges added to the visual lines, helping with water runoff. We added this effect to our standard features options for future clients. Removing the small lawn areas, replacing them with interesting planting helped to improve the overall finish. The sweeping driveway enhanced the first impressions to this imposing home. Overall, a very satisfied client. We, on the other hand, started to explore a much more cost-effective way to achieve the same result for less. Could we ask you to like and subscribe this video? Another client. They wanted an entrance with automatic gates, as well as a uniquely styled drive. We even added an old post office letterbox for his mail in front of the gates. This project shows how much we changed our overall approach. The herringbone brickwork is dry laid on a limestone sub-base, laid on a geotextile fabric. We then added a 2-inch, 50 mm sharp sand screeded bed. Laid the natural bricks in a herringbone pattern to avoid wavy lines. Then vibrated the bricks with a rubber matted vibrator. Finally, brushing kiln-dried sand into the joints. We adopted a novel approach to the low wall and edging. This allowed us to construct much more quickly and still achieve a pleasing effect. It was quite a different method, which worked well. Enabling the raised edges to remain and yet prevent overrunning with a car. The sweeping curves gave the driveway some movement and depth. These bricks are harder than most, very frost and stain resistant, designed to last for around 500,000 axle loads. The added security of the automatic gates increased the client's privacy. This next project used over 30,000 bricks. They are softer burnt with a pronounced chamfered edge, and thus each is a slightly different size. This means that laying is much harder and requires careful adjustments so the pattern stays in alignment. This large executive home benefited from this design. Here you can see the drive taking shape. The edges are left so we can return and cut to shape in one operation. Notice how we use scaffold planks to keep the levels true until we can vibrate the bricks. This picture shows a small area of screeded sharp sand. A control board is used to prevent the lines of bricks from running out of plumb and similar bricks from being placed on the edges for cutting in. It's important to take bricks from many stacks to prevent a color patch from developing. Here is how we took over the site. It was a typical construction mess. The lads working their magic. That mess becomes a superb driveway. Quite the transformation. As can be seen, this was a very large driveway to lay in bricks. Creating this winding path was a nice feature, leading your eye to the vast garden behind the home. This small detail shows how you lay herringbone brick correctly. It keeps the path visually attractive without wavy lines. The outside edge has to be cut by hand, as they are all different lengths. Back to concrete-colored blocks for this project. A small in and out drive that took just 4 days to complete. We now had altered our construction method, added features such as canted edges, and specially made recessed manhole covers. The brick pattern was usually 45-degree herringbone. It takes longer due to cutting, but looks so much better. Starting this project, we took down the low wall and used the bricks as sub-base for the driveway. The transformation was pronounced. We included our canted brick edge detail. Helps to remind drivers where the car is on the drive. We introduced another feature here, a recessed manhole cover. You can just make this out in the picture, where the blocks are standing up at the far entrance. The manhole cover blends into the drive without being hidden. The completed drive laid in 45-degree herringbone pattern, enabling the client to drive in and out of their Victorian property. Looks superb. This next project, with a slightly blurred picture, sorry, it was a gray day, was unusual. The house sign is lit from below to remove the glare you usually see as you enter the driveway. We also used red bitmac, a difficult material to handle as it is made in just a few plants and has to travel in a special truck for often quite a long time. The long drive meandered to the modern home. We added a brick edge to either side. The red color blends in with the magnificent rhododendrons. Mick is setting the levels with string lines. He has bedded an edge of bricks on a sharp sand, cement bed and is screeding out the garage entrance to make sure the crossfalls work for the water runoff. You can just make out the string line going across the initial laid paving. This ensures the finish is consistent. We used the same second stock bricks to run all the way down the drive to edge the red tarmac finish. Then ran the bricks up as a coping to the ragstone wall. There's a concrete block wall with drainage behind the ragstone to take the load from the bank, creating an attractive effect. The entrance to this private road looked really unique and received many comments. This magnificent residence has almost a half-mile-long drive. We designed a triple brick gully to handle water runoff. Then the drive is constructed of a limestone sub-base with a 2-inch, 50mm, base coat. Finally, a double coating of fiber deck. A layer of resin is sprayed on the base coat and kiln-dried pea shingle is rolled into the surface, which then binds to the base. It's best to repeat the top surface every 3 years. You can see the 3-brick gully with the fiber deck drive and the lawn running down to the gully. By laying the lawn about 1 inch, 25mm, above the gully edge, there is no need to use a strimmer, and the mower leaves an attractive cut line every time. We completed the project by turfing and planting hundreds of plants to achieve this beautiful finish. Please like and hit subscribe to help us grow our channel.